RoboCop versus the Terminator? Now that is a great idea for a video game. Does it deliver on that great idea? Well, the actual gameplay is fun. It is stupid, gratuitous violence, and you kill the enemies in really gory ways. The story, it's a little bit weird. Years after RoboCop's invention, Cyberdyne Systems is contracted by SAC NORAD to build the Skynet defense network. Computer scientists use RoboCop's revolutionary engineering, the only successful linking of human mind and computer, to build Skynet's CPU. Something goes wrong. So the people made RoboCop and Skynet are kind of intertwined. Soon after Skynet is brought online, it becomes self-aware and determines the enemy to be mankind. It launches a genocidal war of machine versus man. Attempting to thwart the human resistance, Skynet sends a squadron of Terminators into the past, again following the typical Terminator story. These Terminators arrive in the OCP offices and lure RoboCop into a battle. Once RoboCop defeats Ed 209 at OCP, he uploads himself into the computer and unknowingly gives Skynet the technology it needs. RoboCop is brought back online in the Terminator outpost and realizes he must battle his way through the Terminator-infested future to reach the inner sanctum of Skynet. If RoboCop is to save humanity, he must defeat the Skynet CPU. It sounds like a story, a fan fiction, basically, but my problem isn't so much the goofy story. I mean, it's a Sega Genesis game, and it's just stupid killing of enemies and side-scrolling. My problem is the story has nothing to do with the gameplay. In the end there, you saw that it says RoboCop is now in the future, and he must stop Skynet in the future by killing a bunch of Terminators, but he's not in the future. See, he's walking around in present day, or whatever. You know, people are still around, and he's not killing Terminators. He does kill Terminators, but mostly he's just killing people. So the story has nothing to do with what the actual gameplay is. In fact, the story has nothing to do with the story, because the story began with the words present day Detroit, and then it ended with RoboCop being in the future. The story couldn't keep up with itself. Forget about keeping up with the actual gameplay. So that aside, you're walking forward, platforming as RoboCop, and you're shooting enemies mostly in the face, sometimes when you kneel in the stomach, and they just completely explode. And all these weapons are awesome. I mean, not a single weapon sucks. In fact, one weapon is absolutely overpowered, which is the movement or the heat-seeking weapon, which basically flies towards all the enemies on screen. I'm not just talking about the enemies that are moving, even the enemies that are standing still. Even things like cameras, anything that belongs to the enemies is destroyed with this weapon. So it is so OP. I can equate it to the movement-seeking weapon in Gunstar Heroes, where all you have to do is just stand there and the enemies are completely destroyed because the gun does all the work. Typically, bosses have a lot of hit points, and other weapons can hit the bosses just as easily because you're not running around with the bosses. So with bosses, it's actually better to have a weapon that hits really hard versus a weapon that flies towards the enemy without having to aim it. This game is basically like a gory version of Dinosaurs for Hire, where you're a complete badass with unlimited ammo that just mows through the enemies as you walk perpetually to the right. RoboCop vs. the Terminator gets an official stanburdman rating of a 7.3 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, my friends.